All right. So good evening once again, everyone. I welcome us to this section. So just before I dive into our plan tonight, I will just use the first 5 minutes to recap what we did last time. If I could remember, last time we concluded set of exploratory functions analysis using advanced Excel, where we started with some ifs, count ifs, average ifs, and average if. And I showed us how you can actually manipulate these functions, which falls under descriptive analysis techniques, how we can use them to draw different insights from a given data set. So I know before I ended that section, I promised that in the next section, which is this section, I am going to expose us to how you can actually use AI to generate your analysis questions. And I also emphasize that it is very important as a data analyst, you know how to generate your analysis question. I emphasize on the importance of that your inability to draft effective analysis question from the data set you are given, it is a step or it is an indication that your findings will also be weak or limited. So where it starts from is your ability to look at any given data, understand it, perfect it by cleaning up errors, and be able to assume analysis question that will lead to deriving insights which are used for decision making. Do not forget the essence of this field called data science or data analytics is about processing data, identifying pattern, trend, and correlation, which helps us in making smart decisions. So which means that if you are unable to draft effective question, now there is every tendency that you might not come up with any reliable or effective insights that can facilitate in terms of decision making. So that is why I beg every one of us to make sure that you pay attention or you develop your questions drafting skills. Is part of the skill set you need to acquire as a data analyst. It's very important. This is one aspect that some persons are very good at. You give them data, within the next few seconds, they will be able to tell you, they will be able to draft numerous questions that will guide them in deriving insights that will lead to their conclusion, which will be ended up used for for decision making. Now, how do we look at data like this? So this is the same data we have been working with. This is an Amazon data, which we have already understood the headers that are in this data set. So I will not want to spend time in studying the data because I believe you have already studied that or you are already familiar with this particular data. Now, when you are given data frame or data set like this, it is part of your expertise to be able to know at this level that you are learning. If you are working for a real company, you are expected to look at this data before us and draft out questions that can be answered by deploying any of these techniques, because all the functions we are utilizing in this program or across all the tools that we have been exposed to, they fall under techniques for deriving, drawing insights that can help in smart decision making. That is our objective. That is our objective. Now, if you look at this data frame, you will agree with me that if you are to be the CEO, I know your interest will be more on this column, because this column says total profit. So this is where your profits are recorded. And then if you are also a CEO, your interest will also be summarizing the total profit, against the country, because you would like to know the performance of this country when it comes to generating profits for you as a business person. I am very sure that you also want to know the strengths in terms of profit generation, the strength of this item type, which falls under the product category. And then you also want to know statistically what is the correlation between profit generated from offline transaction and profit generated from online transaction. I am just trying to speak to us as a CEO, which is a mindset we should have as data analysts. I have mentioned it before. At this point, or whenever you are analyzing, there are two domains you need to assume you are, because until you capture that, it will be difficult for you to know what is expected by the CEO or the managers of business or enterprise in terms of what? Making decision. And then you also struggle with what exactly drives decision making, what drives policy formulation across different organizations. So that is why you have to position at first. When you are given data like this, you position as the CEO instead of positioning as a data analyst. You see yourself as a CEO, project yourself as a CEO who needs a data analyst, which you should also picture yourself to help him or her to derive some insights that will influence his smart decision making. So these are ways we are expected to what? To reason. Because until you reason this way I have just explained now, you will continue looking at data set like this and you will not even know what is expected. So I am very sure that they want to know, because I believe that this offline we are having might be transactions that were done from physical location. Then this online might be transactions that were done probably via website or through their social or online platform. So in terms of making decisions to improve these two platforms, they would like to know how much is each of them generating. No reasonable investor who want to invest on a commodity or variable or product that is underperforming. So I am very sure that they are going to ask me to summarize the profit against what? This respective channel. Okay? So at least you can see that when you look at this data set, your strengths as a data analyst lies here, 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 and here. So any data set you are given, you are expected to identify which of the variables, which of the features probably will help you to draw more active or effective insights that can be used for decision making. So I just feel that I should educate us on that, because I believe that there are some of us that might be having some difficulties because they don't understand the way a data analyst should reason looking at what? Data frame. Now let's quickly go to how we can actually exploit AI what? Prompts command to help us to suggest, to draft analysis questions that can be answered with any of those exploratory techniques which we have already considered. So I'm not going to go through answering those questions, but I just want us to know. So at your own convenience time, you can actually go back and look at the questions that must have been generated through this AI, which we call what? Natural language processing. Natural language processing. So the artificial intelligence you are hearing today is a derivation from natural language processing, which falls under what we call chatbot, which is popularly known as ChatGPT. So that is what I am going to use tonight to show us how you can actually use ChatGPT to help you to draft meaningful, insights leading question from a data set like this. But you know what? You should be able to describe the features in your data. What do I mean by feature? The headers professionally in this field, they are called feature. So this is region, is a feature. Country is a feature. Item type is a feature. Sales channel is a feature. Order price is a feature. All the headers in your data set, they are professionally described in this view as feature. But using a layman term, we say what? Heading or attribute. Okay? So what I'm saying is that before the AI can actually assist you to draft possible question, it is your responsibility to educate the AI the headers present in your data. So how do we use it? So the first thing I'm going to do, I am going to quickly copy the entire headers by selecting the first one, hold down the Control and Shift, then press the right arrow button to automatically select all the headings in this data set. Control C to copy. Now, once you have done that, then open your browser like this. Open your browser, then choose, just open your browser, and then when you get here, you must have registered with the ChatGPT. Please, if you have not registered with it, it is important you register. So how do you register? Just click on what? ChatGPT. If it is not there, why it dropped out in my own case? Because I have been using it often and often. In your own case, if you have not used it before, it's not going to be there. So you simply type it, ChatGPT, or you write Open AI, Open AI, Open AI. So once you type it, it will bring out something like this. Then you click. Now, because I have registered, that is the reason why I am prompted to this environment. In your own case, you have not registered, it will ask you to sign up. So you click on sign up with an email address, and then you have access to the free version. It's actually free, though there is a pro version, but everything you want to do at this level can be done with the what? The free version. Now, what I am going to tell is just like the same concept, how you use your Google, okay? So if you have been using Google, it is very simple. The only logic is that you have to specify your key search word, your key search word. That is, you should be able to give some key hints to what you want it to what to assist you on. So in that case, I will say acts as a data analyst. Act as a data analyst. Help me draft effective analytics. Questions? Comma, my data sets has the following headers. My data set has the following headers. So you can quote them. So remember, I have copied before. So I will just paste. So these are the headers. Now, there might be need for you to separate them with the comma because you are supposed to list them. You're supposed to list them. So you run it. So within the next few seconds, you will see what will happen. Excellent. You have a very rich data set that can give you a lot of insight. Did you get that? Since you are acting as a data analyst, let me help you draft effective analytics question. You can exploit based on your data headers. Sales performance, you can see the way it has captured what the category of analysis you are supposed to, because that particular data is about sales. It's a data set that was collected from live sales transaction. So the AI has been able to know based on the header that this is what, or this could be sales data, which is true. So the first question is that what is the total revenue, total cost, and total profit for each region? So these are different analyses you ought to have performed. Okay, so at the end of the day, you will see that you definitely read the mind of the stakeholder. Now, the next question says, now the question is this: what AI will do, AI will not suggest the function. But even if you also ask AI to also suggest function for you using Excel, it will do that for you. So, but from what I have taught us so far, looking at that first question that says, what is the total revenue, total cost, and total profit for each region? Now, you know that you are going to involve, for me to analyze the total revenue, I am going to involve sum. And then I will add up everything I have under what? Total revenue what? Feature. Then for me to also answer the second part of it, which says what? Total what? Cost, I'm going to use the same sum. Then for me to answer total profit. But if you look at this question, I'm not going to use sum because at the end, it says what? It says, and total profit for each region. So which means that this is going to be a categorical analysis where you are going to be comparing the total profit, the total costs, the total revenue to each of the region mentioned in the data frame. That is exactly what the question is saying. The second one, that means that I am going to use what? Some ifs. Some if. And I can as well answer the question with what? Some ifs, the one with S, the one that allow us to probably specify or analyze with multiple criteria. So let's look at the second question. Based on, remember the category analysis we are talking about here, sales performance. So all these questions, when you answer them, they assist you as an analyst to draw insights from the company's sales data that will help them to measure their sales what? Performance. So from these insights that you are going to present, they will be able to know how their strategies has yielded what? Results so far. If there is any need for them to change any of those strategies, then your report is going to inform them. That is the reason why we exist. So our finding at the end of the day should tell them whether to continue with a strategy or
there is need to quickly change their strategy. The second question says, which country generated the highest total profit? So which means that after you have done your aggregate analysis, then, okay, I think I just feel that I should just answer at least one question so that you see how you can interpret it. Now, if I come to this data now, based on what we are doing, please just permit me, it's not going to take time. So since the question are geared to a true region, so let me get all the values I have under region. Let me quickly create another sheet and paste, Control V. So what is saying? My selection is wrong because it's as if I selected the entire column. So I'm going to have a short of space. So let me select by holding the Control button. That is, I'm selecting the record area. Control C. Then go to my assume analysis or analysis sheet, just like what we have been doing. Then quickly go to data to remove duplicates because this is categorical analysis. So remember that to remove duplicates, you highlight the same set of values or range. Then you come to this, click here, and then identify where you have the values you want to remove the duplicate from. Then these are the unique value. These are the unique region. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the question we are answering here, if I'm to talk about this one, look at this one now. What is the total revenue? So let's say we are focusing on the profit first because time will not permit me to go through this and this, which you can as well handle at your own convenience time. Now let's say I am answering it based on the profit. So which means that I am going to quickly come here. So I will say what? Based on total profit. So I have to highlight this, total profit. Now, equals to the sum if, because it's just one criteria. If you look at that question, it's just one criteria, which says what? Based on what? The region. So adibin is mentioned based on the region and the country. Then definitely I will use what? The one with S, sum ifs. So now I have to go back to the data set and capture where I have what? The region mentioned, comma, then go back to my assume analysis sheet, then pick my criteria, which is the first one, just to define the range, then comma, then go back to the data set, and then highlight the range of your profit what? Value. So let me also use this. I press enter. So if you look at this now, what I have generated is the total profit generated from Australia and what? Oceania region. So I can what? Double click in order to replicate the formula to calculate other region. Now, if you look at the second question, so this is where I'm going. The second question says what? Which country generated the highest total profit? That means that the second question emerges from the answering of the first question. So now that you have already answered the first question, what that second question is demanding for is that compare this value and tell us which one is the highest. And then in your executive report, in your conclusion, you note it down that after your analysis, this is what you discover, which I said in this view is referred to as what? Observation. Now, how am I going to get that? So I'm going to deploy what? Visualization concepts, because this is tabular what? Visualization. So it means that if I start comparing this value with this value, comparing this one with this value, it's going to take time for me to know which one is highest. So I will simply highlight everything, then click on this quick what? Analysis icon, part of what we have treated in this training. Then go to what? Charts, and then use this. So with this, I have already found out what? I've answered the question, which is what? Sub-Sahara what? Africa with the highest what? Bar. And then if you trace it with the sum of value within this what? Range. So you can see how I'm able to answer the question. So if you do not understand those functions that we have been spending time on, after using the ChatGPT to generate the question like this, you will not be able to know which of those functions or which of the or which technique I am to deploy to answer the question, because that is the second stage of it. It's not just coming here to consult the ChatGPT to help you to suggest questions. If you look at the second one, it says what? That what? Which item type contribute the most total revenue? So if I continue like this, I can answer all the questions. So just to suggest to us which item type contribute the most total what? Revenue. So which means that this is talking about comparing revenue summary. If somebody have questions? Okay, ask your question.
Hello, sir. Is the second question is says countries, but what you did on the first one was region. But I think you used region to answer
Okay, yeah,
it.
you are very correct. Now, which country generated the highest? Good. Now, it's the same concept how I answered this you. But the only thing is that instead of you working with region, you will do that same thing that I did for region. Let me go to where I answered it. You will compare, here will not change to this, here will remain total profit. But here become what? Country. So the same concept. Is that clear?
All right, sir.
All right.
Excuse me, I want to ask a question.
So here you have question.
Yes, if these countries are numerous, as in they're up to 100 or thereabouts, I was thinking that the answer, that is this total profit, the column, we can actually do it in ascending or descending order. Because I don't know if the countries are up to 100, how the graph will be. As in how tiny or whatever.
It's a good observation. It's a good observation, but that is another technique. So as a data analyst, it is your responsibility to know which method works for you based on the scenario you are dealing with. So that is a good option. You can as well use that. Is that clear?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so you can go on and on. You can see this is another category of what analysis is suggesting: customer and market segmentation. So these are the suggested questions. Which region have the highest average order size, units sold? How do different item types perform across different countries? Which region has the highest or the lowest what? Sales volume. Then we also have what? Operational efficiency. And these are the what? Suggested questions. What is the average lead time between order time date and ship date? Are there significant delays in shipping or certain region or country? How do order priority affect shipping time? So all these are metric you can derive when you study your data set with the headers it comes with. Profitability and cost control. These are suggested questions that can assist in this aspect. Which item type have the highest profit per unit sold? Are there item types where the cost is too high relative to revenue? What is the profit relevance? Sorry, what is the profit variance across different sales channels? So you can see, you can go on and on and on and on. ChatGPT will actually give you a lot of questions. A lot of questions. So if you are practicing, you are expected to be leveraging on this platform. But there are times that based on your expertise, you might not need to consult ChatGPT if only you can look at your data, you have trained yourself, you have become an expert in the area of question drafting. Like I said, is an expertise is soft. So it is not all data analysts that actually have that skill set on how to draft data. Some of them questions rather. Some of them, someone have to, maybe their boss, if the boss happen to be in the field, can help them to draft the question, but they know the right tool, the right function, the right technique to deploy to get the questions answered. So that is all about how you can actually use the AI to draft analysis question. Depending on the data, don't forget the logic I use. I supplied the headers because until you spell out your headers, the ChatGPT will not understand the type of data you are talking about. So I just feel that you need to know that, and it's going to help you. So this is where I use my slide to actually explain it. So if there's no question, then we'll go to the next topic that I also planned for this section. So for this topic, I will just take us into it, and then tomorrow we'll expand properly on it. And it is one of our major aspects of data analysis with Excel that you must know if you want to build automating system. Because the beauty of this field is your ability to create automated system. In other words, you can build analysis system that even when you are not there, the company can simply use it to perform different categories of what? Analysis. Now, some company will hire you just to build this system for them, and then you'll be paid one time off. So if you are good at it, it's an aspect some persons are good at. That is building automated analytics what? A model that can help a company to perform multiple analysis using the same data system. So what is this all about? Just a minute. So I have titled it what? Building Data Analysis Automated System / Dynamic Dashboard with Excel what? Lookup functions / Dynamic Dashboard with Excel lookup functions. Now, this particular set of functions we are embarking on, they are very important. And they are all statistical, or let me call them advanced statistical functions in Excel, which with a combination of some expertise, you'll be able to use them to build an automated system that can be used to analyze data. So just like I've explained here, the VLOOKUP, that's the first one. We have the VLOOKUP example of this Excel lookup functions. We have the VLOOKUP, we have the SLOOKUP, we have the HLOOKUP. But tonight, I am going to just dwell on VLOOKUP. And I'm not just going to use the VLOOKUP, I am going to attach it with another subordinative function called what? Data validation. And then as I walk us through the logic, you understand why we are actually involving the data validation in conjunction with the VLOOKUP. Now, like I've defined it, the VLOOKUP function searches for a value in the first column of a table and return a value in the same row from another column. So this might look very abstract, but by the time I have related it with that data we are working with, you understand it. So just to further break it down, before I switch to the data where I am going to deploy it, Let's explain the parameters. Remember, before now, I have explained that there are certain functions in Excel that once they are activated, you have to supply certain data before they can give you the expected output. Now, this data that need to be given to the function, they are called arguments or inputs or parameters. And that is why I have pointed them out here. Let's start with the syntax of the function. Like I have advised before, once you understand the syntax of a function, then the deployment is 50% understood. Now, VLOOKUP is the name of the function. Then because it is a function, it comes with parentheses bracket, so that you can supply the input, that is the data the function expect to work with. Now, part of what we need to give to the function to perform the expected analysis, one is lookup value. Now, I want you to take note of the syntax that at the end of defining one or any of the parameter, there is a comma. That is why after lookup value, there's a comma. Before table array, there is a comma. Column index number, there is a comma. Then I have explained before, anything inside the square bracket is optional. So which means that until you supply this highlighted argument, the function will not output any result. But if I do not consider this, the function will still output a result. That is what it's simply saying. So let me just break them down. This is where I'm explaining them, each of these that I just mentioned. What is the lookup value? The lookup value is the value to search for from the name lookup. These are functions we use in searching through a data source and fetch out a corresponding value based on the criteria defined. Some time ago, I believe either the second class or the third class, somebody asked that, how do they build those systems that you see? There are times you walk into supermarket or pharmacies. When you get there, they can employ someone today, and the person will be able to tell you how much is a drug or how much is an item. How does the person know this is somebody that they just employ? Does it mean that the person must have gone through the price list? The logic is that such organization must have consulted someone like you and I as experts to create a stand-alone analysis system. That is, they are trying to save costs. They don't want to keep you there on a daily basis because your salary is much. So what some of these businesses are doing is to consult you and I that specialize in data engineering, because is system designing, like we are going to do tonight. And then we will design it and sell it off. So you can tell them it's 1 million. You can tell them it's 2 million because they are going to use it for years. So what they will do is that they will just program a cell. Once a customer walk in and asks for the name of a product they want to buy, they must have already instructed the sales rep that once the customer mentions the name of what they want to buy, just type the name in this cell, then it will automatically call out all the information, such as the unit cost or the sales price and other associated information regarding to that product. I believe some of us, we must have experienced this when you go to supermarket. But now most eateries have advanced. They are now using a scanner machine. So once they put the item has a barcode. So once they put it in front of the machine will scan all the details, the name of the product, the price of the product, and impute it into their spreadsheet, which could be an application like an Excel, or exactly Excel. So that is just as a result of advancement of technology. But those platforms you are seeing, those software, those customized software, they are very expensive. Some average businesses cannot afford it. They cannot maintain it. So there are a lot of them that will still want individual to customize it, just like we want to do. So I just explain all this so that we begin to picture, okay, after learning this, how can I use it to make money? You can approach all these small scale businesses and tell them that I have a system. So you must have built it with some assumed products. And then you just be test running it. That, okay, for example, now, if you put the name of your product here, it will analyze this for you. If you put this one here, it will give you this detail. So by the time they have purchased it, you delete all those sample products, then you key in their real product, then you have solved the problem. So I just hope that explanation helps someone to know what we are trying to do. So the value to search for, the table array is the range of cell to search, because you must define a boundary. As you are going to be sending the VLOOKUP to a data set that go and search in a column, return the corresponding value in the same row, but across different columns. So you have to define a boundary that, okay, your searching should be within this range. That is what we are simply talking about using what? Or on this table what? Array. Call index number, call index. So you have to define the particular column where, that is in this case now, you are trying to narrow the search, because at table in the table array, you define the whole table what? Frame. Now, at call index number, you are now saying that, okay, despite the area that I defined, focus on this column. That is where the value is. So you are trying to assist the function. Then, of course, like I said, range lookup is optional, which you set because this is still part of conditional function. That is, there should be true value, and then there should be what? False value. All right, so with what I have explained now, let me go to the data where it will be clearer to you. Now, we understand the parameter. Now, let me focus on the data now. So let me clear this sheet. It's very simple. You will get it now. So what is our analysis question? Because that's the first thing you should identify so that you know your objective. What is our objective? So my objective is that this particular sheet is my automated analysis system. Automated analysis. System. So what is the objective? Let's assume the question is A and B limited is an enterprise. As a data analyst, design, sorry, okay, is there. Design, I'm going to merge. Design self-analysis analysis. System. Such that once an item ID, because we have to work with unique a column where values are not repeated, where an item ID is imputed or selected to display details. Let me see if I can. I will have merged everything. Let me see. Okay, so the question is taken. I will have merged everything together so that I can, let me see if I can still achieve something. Okay, so we have our question there. The next thing I'm going to do is to go to the data sets. Like I said, there must be a header where values are not repeated. So let me check here. Do we even have such? Okay, I think we have a order ID. Order ID. I want to be sure that no value here is repeated. Order ID. Okay, no value here is repeated. So I'm going to work with order ID. Now, there's a challenge with VLOOKUP. That is the reason why we are going to end this whole process with what? The SLOOKUP. So the challenges that are emanated from VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP is the reason why they discover the SLOOKUP. Now, HLOOKUP or VLOOKUP have directional issue. For example, since I have identified this column to be the column with the unique ID, where values are not repeated. So you must have a data set where there is a unique value before you can use this VLOOKUP to achieve your purpose. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to relocate this because VLOOKUP cannot actually search a negative value. What do I mean by negative value? It cannot search for any value behind the heading that you are focusing on as the criteria for looking up for other values. So it can always, like in this case now, it can always search for ship date, unit sold, and other headers in front of it. So it cannot search for country. So what I'm going to do is to select the whole of this. But before that, let me create additional space. So select this, then come here and select what? Insert. So I've created what? Empty space. So my intention is to relocate this there, this particular order ID. So I'll click here, then place your mouse pointer here. Once you can see those 4 arrows, click and drag, and then bring it here. Then you can delete this particular one because you don't need it. Select the alphabet, represent the whole of that column. Come to your home tab, then navigate to delete. Specify the element you want to delete, which is what? The column. So I will just simply click here. Now, why did I have to do this? So that all the header can be in front of the order ID, which is the criteria that will be used to call order what corresponding value. So once my data has been structured in that supporting order, then I can go back. So what I'm going to do is that the whole of this heading, the whole of the heading in the data set I'm working with, I am going to copy them. So I will start by selecting the first one, hold down the Control and the Shift, then as usual, select all of them, Control C, then after that, then go to your automated analysis sheet where you intend to build a system that will be helping them to travel to this place and be fetching any information you might request for using this system we are building. So I'll paste them, Control V, I'll paste them here. So the first thing is for me to design the user interface of the analysis what application. Because what we are doing now is like we are building an app. We are building an automated app that will help the company in our absence to always what? Do what we ought to have been doing for them if you are there all the time. So I will just form my design. So I'm leaving this one here. So I'll click here and drag it here. So I am leaving empty space. The reason is that I may put the value here or in front. So at the same time, I'm just using this design to form the shape, the user interface of the application. So, and the user interface must give good experience, okay? So you define how you want it. So I just want a vertical arrangement. So that's why I'm taking it and I'm following the order. So based on the number of headers I have, I just want 3 columns. So I'm following the same structure. Like I said, this is just to determine the user interface of the application that will be performing the various analysis. So the next thing is, okay, let me put this one here, since I still have up to 3. So I'm trying to distribute them evenly to have good. So I can work with this. So the next thing is for me to format the headers. So I will select only the header, not where I intend to output what their values. So I will hold down the Control button on my keyboard after I've selected the first one, then select Order, so that it will not select this other alternative space. So I'm targeting only the header. Why? Because I want them to have unique appearance. That is what I'm trying to achieve here. Then after this, then I will come to what? To this, come to Home, select this fish shape to give them background color. So I'm using this color. Then if you want, you can bold it. And then let's say I want this one to appear like this. So I can space this. I can space this. I can also what? Space this. Then after that, where I intend to display the values that the VLOOKUP will be called from this, I will also want them to have unique spaces or unique sets. So I will choose to display the values in front of them. So I will also highlight, select only where I intend to display the value. Hold down the Control button and keep selecting only where you want to output the results. Then I'll choose, I can use that color that is already displaying, something like this. Okay, now I am saving. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in validation. You know, I told you that I'm going to combine, I'm going to assist VLOOKUP with validation. Is a function. Now, what do I want to do with validation? You can actually program the whole of this without involving the data validation function. But I just want to make the users to have good experience. Why? I don't want them to have spelling error. So I just want a situation whereby instead of them manually typing the order ID here, because they might make mistake by typing a wrong order ID and lead to not fetching what? Any information from the data source. So just to restrict them so that they will not make such mistake, I will validate a cell, which means that I am creating the value inside that cell already. So all they need to do is to select, so they have no business with entering the value. A minute. All right. So what is data validation? Data validation is used to restrict user from entering value in a cell. So I'll click where I want to validate to make sure that you are observing what I'm doing. So I'll click the particular cell where I want to restrict them from entry value. Then I will now go to data tab here, then come to data validation. This is the function under what? Data 2. So just navigate at this, click on it, it will bring this option, this dialog box. So from this dialog box, you define your criteria, validation criteria. So you click here and say what? Lists. The reason why I select list, because the values I want to validate in that cell, they are typed what? Vertically. Then make sure that these two boxes are checked, because there will be a drop down that will allow them to select or to pick from the available item. Now you click inside this source, which means that you want to define the range where the values are that will be called in here automatically. So make sure that your insertion pointer is inside this source, then switch back to your data, then call all the values in the order ID, which we created here. So just click here and call all the value. So in case of future entry, just continue the selection, and then you press OK. The moment I click OK, it will return me to this place. And what can you see now? You can see that now you have a drop down. If you click here, you see all the ID have now been what? Extracted and stored in this cell. So which means that if, for example, this could be unique names of what? The customer. If it happened to be a supermarket or boutique, it could be the customer ID, because every customer have a unique ID. So it depends on which of the value you want to use to instruct the VLOOKUP to go and search for other corresponding what? Value in the same row, like we highlighted when I was explaining the syntax. Now, it means that you will not instruct your sales rep that please, once a customer mention the name of product, so which means that is the name of the product that you must have used as your validation. So once the person mentioned the name of the product, you just simply come here and pick the name of the product. Once the name of that product is selected, VLOOKUP, which I am bringing it now as the last function for this section, we use this as a criteria and travel to the data and fetch out the corresponding region for this ID, the corresponding country for this ID, the corresponding item type for this ID, the corresponding sales channel for this ID, and so on until it fetches all the words, the value you have projected here. That is a concept, so it's very simple. Now, the reason why I told us before that you can actually do without the data validation, it means that you are leaving this place blank, that the customer or you will manually type in this ID before it can what? Fetch other what? Corresponding value. What are we avoiding? We don't want them to make what? Typographical error. Because, for example, now, if you type a wrong ID here, you don't expect VLOOKUP to travel to the data set and call out what? The corresponding information. So once this is where data validation stops. Now over to VLOOKUP. It means that you are no longer looking for this value. So your VLOOKUP starts here. So you are using VLOOKUP to look for value here, look for value here, look for value here, 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 and value here. So let's quickly go back to, remember I've explained the syntax. If I let me just flash it so you understand. Lookup value, table array, call index, while range column, range what, lookup is optional. So coming back here, I will start with equals to VL. Once you type VL, it will bring the function out. Double click on it to complete it. So these are the parameters that I've explained in my slide. So with that explanation, now you're going to see how I am going to be supplying the right information if I want to get result. What is my lookup value? In other words, the value that the function is looking up to be used to go to the data set and fetch the right region, which is here. That is, you are saying that what? Once you see a value here, take that value, go to the table array, which is the boundary we are going to set, then under a column, then get the region. Comma, remember I told you that once you have supplied parameter or argument, you add your comma. Now it shifted the focus to what? Table array. So what is table array in this case? The boundary, the whole area of the data is what you have to go and select. That is, within what area I should search for this word lookup value. So you come back to the data set and then highlight everything, including this. Start from here, hold down the Control and Shift, press the right arrow key to highlight everything horizontally. While you are still holding down the Control and the Shift, hold down, press the word, the down arrow to highlight the whole data set vertically. Now, in case you want to create room for tomorrow entry, you still press the what? The down arrow key to capture the entire sheet. Then you put your comma. Now, what is the next one? Look at it here. Call index. Call index. Now, how do I know my call index? For you to know your call index, let me show you a simple logic. Take this one, which is the criteria for fetching other value as 1. Count it as 1. Now, what we are searching for now is region, not country. So, which means if you are counting this as 1, for the VLOOKUP to take that ID and come to this data, the distance from the ID that is using to fetch the value is 2. When you get to country, it's going to be 3. When you get to item type, it's going to be 4. When you get to sales channel, it's going to be 5. So I hope you understand that logic. So I will put what? 2 here. That is, count from the positive chart angle or axis from other ID, which is the criteria for coming here to search for the what? The region, which we are looking for right now. Count it as 1. Then when you count it as 1, when you move to the next one, which is 2, that is where the region is. That is what we are simply saying. Then remember we say optional, you put comma here. Once you put comma, it will now ask you for first value, exact match. If you could not find the value, region, what should be outputted? I will say output 0. So once I press enter now and it shows 0 there, it's an indication that what? The lookup function could not find the value I wanted to search. So let's find out. If it's able to find the value, it will display the region. So press enter. Finally, you see that what? Since it doesn't display region, it means that, 0, it means that what? It could find what? Or it was able to what? To find the region. Now, let me show you the magical aspect of it. Now, let's assume we want to change this ID now and see whether it will fetch any ID corresponding region. So this ID is still for what? Australia, Ocean. Let's see. That means there are, okay, you can see it now. As I've changed the ID now, it has fetched the corresponding what? Region. So that is what we intend to get across other fields. Once I change anything here, it should change, it should call different value. This is the automation we are talking about. So what I'm going to do is that I'm not going to waste my time writing the same long function here, writing it 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 here. What I will simply do is this. I'll click here to copy this function, which I use in finding this value. Control C. So once you have copied it, then press enter to execute it back. Then come to where you want to, now want to look for country, paste it. Just paste it around first. Just paste, let it keep fetching the same thing. We will modify it. Just paste it where you intend to fetch other information. So once you have done that, the only thing you'll be changing is that this one is fetching the corresponding value, but this is not fetching what country, instead it's fetching region. So how do I make it to fetch the right value, country? I'll click here. Remember that logic. When you were looking for region, after counting the ID is 1. Now the distance between order to region is 3. So just come here and change this place where you have to 3. That is all. Just change it to 3 and press enter. It will fetch the right country. Then click here. From order to where you are looking for item type, you must have counted 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll go back to where I have that 2, change it to 4 as well, and press what? Enter. So it has fetched what? The right information. Then click here, that should be 5. Click here, that should be 6. We are rounding up now. Click here, that should be 7. Click here, that should be 8. Click here. Yeah, I made a mistake there. Once you see that hash, you know that there's an error. So I'm coming back to it. I'm coming back to it. Or let me just copy again. Let me just copy the formula again. Control C, execute it back, paste it there. Now, that should be 8. Okay. Click here, that should be 9. Oh, that means I made a mistake. Oh, okay. Sorry. I hope it will not. So let me delete it. The one I pasted the other time probably still valid. So click here, that should be 9. Sorry, my keyboard is so let me delete it and type. I don't want to highlight. This should be 10. This should be 11. This should be 12. This should be 13. This should be 14. All right. Now, let's try it again. Let's try changing the ID and see whether other information will change. You can see it automatically. Once you select, now, it now means that you are now using the ID to regulate the whole thing. So let me highlight this value and change the order. Control, I'm selecting only these cells. I want to change the alignment. I want everything to display by the right-hand side. Alignment, good. So let's change it again. Sorry, the left-hand side. Perfect. Perfect. So you can actually plot a graph of, let me see how we can actually bring in graph here. How do we do this? Okay. Okay, so actually it's just one ID we are actually, so we cannot plug them because we are not comparing. Graph is not needed here, we are not comparing. Any question? Any question? This is where I'm going to stop. And then you take this as an assignment, so you build the same system, because tomorrow I will continue with H lookup and be able to complete, if possible, S lookup. Question, please.
Please, can you recap what you did to get the drop down and the first is it on the region before we started doing copy and paste? Just a recap, please.
So what I did, so I will assume that I want to output it here. I don't want to tamper with this. Let's say I want to put it here. Let me copy this so that I can have another design. So I'm not going to do it. I just want to have the space where I'm going to. Now, the first thing I did here, I validated. It was that validation that gave me the drop down that you are seeing here. And how did I do that? I selected where I want to create the drop down, which is the validation. Then I went to Data tab. Then I click on Data Validation. Then by default, it came with what? Allow any. I say no, allow only list. That is what? Values that are entered in the column vertically. Then I click here to choose the source to define where are the values coming from. So after clicking inside here, I switched back to the data set and selected all the values in the order ID. And then I press what? Enter. So now I have them here. Is that clear first?
Yes.
Okay, now the second question, you say how I got this. This one was the application of the VLOOKUP. So I started by activating the function name VLOOKUP. And then after that, I call my lookup value. That is what? Which value will determine what the lookup value will search its value. Or which will determine the lookup value what searches. Then I click here. That is what? Look up to the value here. Then comma. Then I define the range where and where in a sheet this function is expected to look up for this value, to fetch value from using this. I went back to the data and I selected everything. Including the one I validated, like this. Then I added a comma. Then after that, the next one was column index, that under which column will the value be located. Then I did my calculation that the order, which is the lookup value, is at what? Column 1. So the distance between where the value you are to look for is, taking this as 1, is 2. Then if I'm looking for a country, to be 3. Well, let's sort out this first. So I put what? 2. After that, I specify my matching value, which means that what? If it doesn't find it, what should be outputted? Say 0. Then I press enter. Is that clear, man?
No.
Okay.
I didn't see what you selected. What you selected. I didn't see what you selected. That is after picking this first order ID. Your second selection, was it the headers?
Yes, the header, the header. You select the whole header and the entire data. Let me do it again before we run, because I don't want anybody to.
The whole header and entire data.
Watch me again now.
Rows.
Yes, watch me again now, because I want every one of us to submit this assignment. As a matter of fact, if nobody submits this assignment, I will call up tomorrow class. So let me take it again. Let me take it again.
So please take it easy, I beg.
Now I'm taking it again. This is compulsory assignment. Now, lookup value is this. That is where you have validated your value. Okay. Then you add a comma. The table array is the entire data. So I have to switch back to the data. Okay. Then click on the first header. Are you seeing it now?
Yes.
Then hold down the Control and Shift. Press the right arrow key to select the other headers. Then hold down while you are still holding down the Control and Shift, press down the down arrow key to select the entire record area. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, comma. Then which of this column is the value that you are looking for is? We are looking for region. Now,
yes,
the distance between the lookup value, which is order ID should be taken as 1. So which means that before it gets to where the value you are looking for is, it will count what? 1 and what? 2. So that is why I am putting what? 2. Then, okay, if we could not find it in that second column, then I'd put what? 0. So that once I see 0, I will know that the function could not find the value. Is that clear?
Yes, it is.
And you press enter, it will output it.
Okay, thank you. It's clear now.
Yeah, make sure that you are not coming back to this sheet before you press enter. You are pressing enter from the other sheet too.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, please? All right, so if there's no question, like I said, please, this is a compulsory assignment. Mrs. Mercy, please help me to highlight it in the group. That
please send the video.
Said?
Okay, sir.
Send the video.
Please send the video.
I will send the video right now. The next 30 to 40 minutes, you get the video.
Okay, sir.
All right. So good night. See you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good night to everyone.
Good night, all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.